This is how you know that college football has changed, how Georgia football has changed, how Kirby Smart himself has changed a little bit because, as he said, you've got to adapt to the times. And if you don't adapt to the times, your college football program is probably going to get left behind, at least left behind in the sense of if you want to compete for a national championship, you've got to take advantage and use every single tool you have available. And the transfer portal specifically is what I'm talking about today. This is how you know Georgia's changed. It's going to be relying on transfer portal players, not just to start, not just to contribute to the team. Georgia's going to be relying on transfer portal players to make a real impact, to be some of the best players on this roster, to help lead Georgia to title contention. That's what they've got to deal with this year. Relying, right? They're employing transfer portal players, right? They get money now to go out there and help them win games. It's not just, hey, they brought in, a transfer portal defensive lineman. He might crack the rotation. They added some depth, which they did do that. They made a few moves like that. But they made moves that said, look, this is a guy that's going to be really important for us. Ohio State's done it. Oregon's done it. Alabama's done it. All these teams are doing it. Georgia's got to do it. They've done it this offseason. I'm going to highlight two players specifically, but I will mention and talk about some of the others. But these first two are the two that are just going to be ultra important for the Georgia Bulldogs this coming season. Zachariah Branch and Elam Adozi, the outside linebacker from Army. Those are the two players I'm talking about. Ryan Curley, Dawg Post. Make sure you're checking out the website. Make sure you're sticking with us here every single day. We're bringing you content. Fall camp is starting very, very soon. Football is starting very soon. You see, this is a real smile. This is not me. Oh, man, football is coming soon. I'm crying. Tears just came to my eyes thinking about football. I've been waiting for it. I'm ready to watch Zachariah Branch and Elam Adozi in a Georgia uniform. I think they're going to be legit impact players for the Dogs this coming season. I'm not telling a secret necessarily, especially with Zachariah Branch. That's what people think. And I've gone a little bit back and forth on how much of an impact I think Zachariah Branch truly will have on this Georgia football team. But I sit on it a little bit more and a little bit longer and a little bit longer, and you get a little bit closer to the season. I think Branch is going to be an extremely important player for this Georgia Bulldogs team. Explosion and playmaking ability. And the versatility. Those are the three things. Well, the explosion, this is just one of the faster guys on the field, right? You go and you play the college football video game, which is not always accurate and not always a great indicator of things. But you go on there, you see Zachariah Branch is one of the fastest players in college football. And that's because he is. This is a guy that has breakaway speed. This is a guy that has big playability. Explosion and playmaking is kind of in one and the same. He's a guy who you just need to get the ball in his hands because whether you're at the 20-yard line, the 30-yard line, you're 5 yards away from the end zone, wherever it is, he's a threat to score a touchdown. He's a threat to make a big play happen. It's because of his explosive playmaking ability, the side-to-side speed. His smaller size kind of helps him with that, helps him be an elusive football player. He needs to be unlocked on the offensive side of the ball to reach the full potential. What's the potential? Well, he's a former 5-star, right? That's supposed to be an indicator of potential and talent. He was the number one ranked wide receiver in that 2023 recruiting class, so just a couple of classes ago. He's a true junior this coming season. He wasn't super productive at USC. Why? Loaded wide receiver rooms at the beginning, right? There was a lot of guys that they depended on, and he just was kind of used as a gadget weapon, wasn't used as a primary wide receiver. I think, and what the intel is that Georgia's going to use him as more than just a gadget weapon, that he is an actual primary wideout that's going to be out there most downs, that is going to be an emphasis inside of the offense. Georgia has other wide receivers. A fellow transfer, Noah Thomas, who I think will be a big contributor. It's got Dylan Bell, who a lot of Georgia fans have kind of given up on, but Georgia wanted him to return. They brought in his little brother to return. He was the Gunnar Stockton's favorite target at G-Day, and I think that he kind of looked like his favorite target in the Sugar Bowl as well. I think there's definitely a little bit to be said about that. And I just think he's going to be a big part of this offense. I think Kobe Young's going to matter. I think several players are going to matter. But Zachariah Branch is for lack of better words, different, right? Not all those guys are a threat to score every time they have the ball. Zachariah Branch is. The other thing that's coupled with the offensive ability, which I think Georgia needs to unlock and just get him the ball in a lot of creative ways, and I think he needs double-digit touches. Why can't he have... He's not Tavon Austin, but why can't he have shades of that impact? You know what I mean? He's that type of player. It's the return ability. Zachariah Branch was the first on the preseason SEC media voted list, right, for the All-American, for the All-Conference teams, Zachariah Branch made first team as the all-purpose player and as the return specialist. The returning ability is going to matter. Mekhi Muse was really good at it. Anthony Evans was solid at it. Ladd McConkey was a solid returner. This guy's better than all of them. He can score. He did it at USC. He showed that he can do it in the punt game. He showed that he can do it in the kicking game. And I think he's just going to make some plays in special teams. He was the first team guy. And when I voted, no hesitation, I put Zachariah Branch. Apparently, a lot of other people did the exact same thing in voting Branch for the first team return specialist preseason-wise. And I think that is part of why they brought him in. Georgia, when it was winning national championships in 21 and 22, made plays on special teams. They blocked kicks. They returned touchdowns. They scored. They made things happen. And I think Zachariah Branch is a guy that can make things happen in special teams. You see how important it is. Georgia allowed a special team touchdown against Notre Dame, and it kind of felt like they were almost buried after that, right? At the beginning of that third quarter, when they go up by a bigger margin to start the second half, when Notre Dame returned that opening kickoff, it just felt astronomical. It felt much bigger than a normal touchdown because they are, and Zachariah Branch can help provide that. That's a skill he has. Now, I talked a lot about Zachariah Branch, and I'll round it out with Elam Adozi. A guy whose names I'm still working on pronouncing completely properly. They need him. Georgia needed Zachariah Branch. They needed wide receivers and playmaking. It was an issue last year. They need Madozi. They don't have pass rushers, at least experienced ones. They all left for the NFL or for Missouri, Damon Wilson. Madozi is a need for this football team. Someone that can get after the quarterback. Someone who did it 6.5 times last year for Army, led them in that category, also led them in tackles for loss. They need someone that can get into the backfield and create havoc. Make things happen, like I said in the special team games. Make things happen. Playmakers. That's what they need. They're relying on playmakers in the transfer portal between Madozi, between Branch, whether it be Illinois running back Josh McCray that they brought in, or maybe one of the safeties. But specifically Madozi on defense is someone who I think is really important. I think he can be an all-SEC type of player. Georgia needs an X factor on defense. We talked about X factors on offense the other day, but they need an X factor on defense. I think Madozi's a good candidate for that. Jalen Walker, super important. Azeez Ojulari, close to 10 sacks, super important. These guys that can get after the quarterback, that can make an impact in the backfield, matter. And Georgia's had a lot of them. And it's coupled with a really good defensive line. But this edge rusher position, they looked at it this spring and said, this is not good enough. All right, Gabe Harris is hurt. They're relying on Quintavious Johnson and Chris Jones. Players they think can be really good. Players that just haven't played. Madozi's now played. He has a season under his belt where he played at a high level. Now he's going to be expected to do it at an even higher level, which is Georgia, the SEC, the highest level of college football that you can get to. That's what they're bringing Madozi in to be. They are bringing in Zachariah Branch to be potentially a star. I think that they're doing the same thing with Madozi on the other side of the football. They are relying on transfer portal players. Josh McCray is going to play. Noah Thomas is going to play, and they want to get him the ball. They showed that at G-Day. Kobe Young's a former transfer. London Humphreys is a former transfer. They're relying on them. They're actually key parts of the team. It's not something that you've seen with Georgia in the past, right? Darion Kendrick's probably the most impactful transfer in recent years. They're expecting for a bigger impact from these players, and they're going to need it when you lose all that experience and all that talent. you can't always replenish it with younger players. Not now, not in this day and age of college football. I think this shows you Georgia's changed a lot. Money's going to change things more and more, but this transfer portal shows you Georgia, you can go out and get a star, right? Now they just need them to execute. Ohio State did it. It worked for them. Will it work for the Dogs? Let me know if you think so down below. Make sure you're checking out dogpost.com. Make sure you're keeping up with us here. Fall camp starts soon.